Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host,
Mary.
And I'm also joined by a special guest today, my sister.
His favorite sister, Emily.
Yes, this is true. This is my favorite sister. It's my only sister, but my favorite one. Today, we're going to be talking about Survivor 41, Episode 8. With that, we're going to go from front to back of the episode. There are chapter markers on the video. We're going to talk about the Rebus puzzle. We're going to talk about the winner ratings, where you guys are going to roast me for picking Tiffany. Thank you. And they're shaking their heads.
Yes, we will.
Thank you. Okay. And then we're going to talk about TV ratings, the Purple Heather edit, and we'll answer your guys' questions. So, yeah.
We're also going to talk about some rumors.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's start with that, I guess. Do you want to tell them what the first rumor is about Survivor 42?
I don't know, because all I could think of when you said rumors was Adele singing Rebus. So I kind of missed what you talked about when you said there were rumors. Sorry.
I'm deeply offended. She knows I don't really care much for Adele. Emily, why don't give me a look like that? What was the look for?
Because Adele is awesome.
Yeah, Adele's overrated. All right, everyone's going to downvote the video now.
This is Survivor, not music podcast.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, Survivor 42 is rumored to start March 9th, which is 2 weeks later than usual. And the rumor on the street is that it's because not only is there going to be a new Amazing Race season in January, that's not a rumor, that's confirmed, by the way. Mary, you excited about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I love Amazing Race.
Yeah, this is going to be a new Amazing Race season in January. And then Celebrity Big Brother has been rumored to be in February, possibly starring Boston Rob.
Ooh.
Emily, what do you think about Boston Rob being on Celebrity Big Brother?
That's probably the only reason I'll watch it.
Have you ever watched Big Brother?
No, I don't have the willpower to make it through that many episodes, that many days in a row. So
yeah,
no.
Thankfully, I think Celebrity Big Brother is only 3 weeks. So I think I can get through 3 weeks of Big Brother again. It's just, it does
If
take...
Boston Rob is on it for that,
Yeah.
for an extended period of time, I would watch that.
If you vote me out, I'll burn this house down. That's Boston Rob, I think, right? No, okay. Yeah, and if you guys really look it up, there's a rumored logo out there for Survivor 42 I saw, but it's not confirmed, but it has like a maze and like a lock and key. It's a whole thing.
It looks pretty legit.
Yeah, it looks very, very, very similar to 41 in terms of like the design elements, I guess. I don't know. All right, well, let's get into the episode. And Mary, do you remember how it starts off?
What happened to the poor little Yasa turtles? That's what I remember.
I don't think that was the beginning of the episode, but yes, what happens to the poor little Yas turtles? Oh, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's pretty much the beginning.
Yeah. Well, for some reason, my first note, this must have been what I thought was most important, was Evie lies about why she told Deshaun about Xander. Because I think the episode starts with Evie and Xander talking. And Evie is like, oh, yeah, no, I told Deshaun because of like, I forgot what she was even lying about, but it was not why she told Deshaun.
Was it a flashback from the previous episode?
No, this is where Evie's talking to Xander, and she's like, oh yeah, no, I told Deshaun about your advantage because of this, and it was actually because she thought Xander was going to be voted out that episode. That's what she told him.
I have it written down that Evie starts talking about the turtles.
Well, I'm telling you,
know.
the episode starts with her lying about why she told Deshaun about Xander.
Yeah, it does start with that from like right after Tribal.
And then she's like so depressed.
And then it goes to a confessional with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she told him, well, I told him because, I thought everyone's going to know about it already, and I was trying to build trust and yada yada. Which I'm sure she was trying to build trust, and I'm sure she did think everyone was going to know about it, but she failed to mention that she thought Xander was going to
yeah, because that was the episode where Voce went home. And she was like, well, I'm going to tell you about the sandwich because Xander's about to be voted out. And I remember us watching it. And I was like, dude, if Xander still is here after this episode, Evie's going to get burned by this. Like, they're showing this on purpose. And sure enough, here we are. And Deshaun basically knows, like, I can't trust Evie because she threw Xander under the bus barely knowing me, which is the risk of being someone who snitches all the time, which is what we talked about, I feel like, this season.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of snitching.
Emily, what do you think about all the snitching this season?
I think it's going to bite them in the butt, for sure.
Yeah, you think that's why Evie's being targeted? Because Evie also, this episode, not jump too far ahead, was also like, oh yeah, I'm a super fan. I knew how to do this puzzle in like 5 seconds.
I don't know. That also could be foreshadowing for something else. So,
I mean, I think it's just like Christian and David versus Goliath. Remember in that very first challenge, Christian does the slide puzzle in like 5 seconds, and then from there on out, everyone's like, "Oh, Christian's a threat now because He's great at puzzles.
Christian was a threat in more than just that way, though. So I don't know.
Christian was likable to no end, which helps a lot. But yeah, okay, so then I have, my next note is Liana was going to be honest with Evie after the fact, after she votes her out, question mark. What does this mean? I forgot.
Yeah, that was, so after Tribal, again, they do a little after Tribal night scene, and Liana and Evie are talking, and Liana's like, yeah, I really wanted to come clean to you guys and talk to you about it. And she tried to pitch it, I think, like I was trying to get Xander out, and then I would have told you what the plan was, because I know you guys were tight or whatever, but she knows Evie and Xander weren't tight. But that's pretty much all you hear, is that she said, yeah, I was going to let you guys know after Tribal.
Yeah, like after we split the votes on Sydney and Evie and got you out, Evie, because that's why I was trying to stop Xander from using the idol. What are you talking about? What is Liana on? Is she on drugs?
She's not good at lying.
Because, like, it's so obvious. Like, okay, after I vote, I was going to be honest with you. All right, wonderful timing. Thanks, Liana. Wonderful. I said Evie's on a relationship recovery tour. Is that what she called it? This is what I get for not watching the episode in a couple days.
I don't think she said that.
She's on a relationship recovery tour. Maybe I put that because she's like saying, hey, just let you know, like, I really like you. And like, she's like being nice to people and like reconnecting with people.
No, that is true. I don't think she called it that, but
okay, maybe I just called it that.
That is true.
Yeah, basically Yas is no more, and Deshaun says no to all of them, it feels like.
Well,
because they targeted him.
Evie and Xander and Tiffany were all three kind of scrambling around, and they were all doing their best to be like, oh, we're just here to play, and I really don't like those people anymore, I'm a vote here, and they were all scrambling really hard. And that's, I think, why the turtle comment was mentioned, is because they were all fighting together, and now they're definitely each a little turtle on their own.
Yeah, basically. And then with the way this episode ends, it's like, oh yeah, now Evie, Xander, and Liana really are. I mean, Liana already went her own way, but now Xander and Evie are really on the outs. Yeah,
and Deshaun said he wants to pick them off one by one.
Yeah. Kind of, you know what though? I know like Nasir said, hey, let's let Luvu be the final six, and then they voted Sydney off. But like, Deshaun's on the right track, I feel like, there, because let's get the Luvu 5 to be the final 5, like, because Uwa is only 2 people, Yas is now 3, like, technically Luvu's tied with Yas and Uwa if they can just get rid of those 2, and while it'd be boring for us at home, it'd be smart for them to do a pagonging. I feel like we haven't had a good pagonging in so long. And by good pagonging, I mean just a pagonging. No pagonging.
It can't be a pagonging, though, because Luvu's already voted out one of their own, right?
Well, yeah. No, I'm saying, I guess a pagonging in this sense would be, yes, it wouldn't be a perfect pagonging, but if they were to remove all of the Yas and then all of the Uwa, like, in a row, and it was just Luvu at the end, they would have been one. And technically, was Sydney even the merge vote? Because only half of them were merged. It's very confusing this season.
True. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm like, that's why I was like last week I locked in Tiffany like a bozo, because I'm like, this is the merge vote. But really it wasn't. This week was the merge vote when you think about it, because now...
Oh, is that why?
No, it's not my excuse. I'm saying now we've merged, everyone's merged, now somebody actually joins the jury. It's like, that was on me to do it a week too early, apparently, but... or whatever, 2 weeks ago whenever I locked in like an idiot. Yeah, I hear ya. Okay, so... my next note is, okay, so we're at the challenge, and then Jeff's like, hello, 5th graders. I'm here to tell you about the advantage I'm planning on the bench.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
He talks to us like children,
so
really.
We've given our audience no background on who you are, Emily. So, like Shannon, episode 5, tell us who you are and what your background is in terms of teaching, I mean.
I am a high school teacher. I've been teaching this is my 5th school year. And honestly, this is probably how I would talk to my high schoolers. Yeah. So maybe we're a little older than 5th graders, but he definitely talks to us as if we have never seen the show before. Yeah. And it was awkward. I think I don't mind it every time, but this time I was like, really? You could have just shown a close-up of the advantage under the bench, and that's all we would have needed to see.
Yeah, which they've done, and they did in like Game Changers when they had an advantage on the bench that Sarah found. But I was thinking more about this, and I think that I realized like Jeff's really been pushing like, hey parents, thanks for letting your kids stay up and watch like the past like few years. And I'm like, you know what? Jeff got married within the past decade, and he got 2 adopted children with the wife that he married. And I'm wondering if, like, as they grow up, he's kind of like thinking more of like them. So like he's talking to the camera like he's talking to his kids. I don't know. Like
that could be, but why do we have to spend 2 minutes explaining an advantage that is pretty common in that it's hidden at the timeout bench, whereas we don't spend any time explaining new twists to the show?
Well, they do explain it. They just
not to the camera. Not to the camera.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we're Jeff, because in the very beginning of episode 1, Jeff's like, "Here's the beware advantage." Doesn't tell us what it is. Well, to be fair, well, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I just know they talk to the camera, and I'm like, are you smarter than a 5th grader?
Well, maybe I was also thinking maybe it's to keep the seasons going. I mean, to get kids. I mean, that's why they do the Rebus puzzle, right? It's for the children.
The
to keep them excited to watch it, and then keep views up to keep seasons going. I mean, I don't know.
So Survivor, I feel like it's definitely 100% them doing it in the shows to be like, hey, future survivors, just to let you know, if you sit at the bench, you better be looking for an advantage because we're going to plant them there. If we can't get an advantage in every episode, we failed as a production. I'm so glad that Xander didn't find this advantage. I am 100% glad. Because you know how much time in this episode would have been eaten up by him explaining the advantage and then saying, I wonder what kind of strategy I could use with this advantage. And we would have missed out on other things in an episode where we had two challenges.
I guess. I mean, I almost feel like he was really stupid for not finding it. It was so obvious to us, I guess. Maybe not obvious if you're sitting on the bench.
He was looking.
He was looking, and I guess.
Yeah, and like me looking for ketchup in the fridge again.
Exactly.
He just didn't see it. Yeah.
We go through this every day.
Like, oh, where's the red ketchup in this fridge of white walls? Nope, I can't find it.
It can be one of the 3 condiments in the door, and you'll still not see it.
I just won't see it. Yeah, but let's go back because the only reason Xander's even on this bench is because they drew rocks again. Erica somehow got the gray rock again. I don't know why, by the way, Survivor's forcing rock draws. It's more fun when they're natural and organic, but it's not the same. What were you going to say, Mary?
Well, I was just going to say that I guess it adds some drama because once again, you have, oh man, I hate this. Oh man, the suspense. Oh man, the tension. Versus if they just like picked a captain and done a schoolyard pick like they do sometimes.
They're just causing drama.
Well, that also causes drama. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but it worked out in their favor this time, I think. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. And Xander's like sitting there like on paper making a smart move. He's like, oh, I'll swap with Erica because, I ate or whatever he said. I forgot what he said because he didn't eat the merge feast. So I don't forget what he's talking about.
He said it wasn't fair for Erica to have to sit out again and not have the opportunity to eat.
Because like Xander didn't eat last time either. But okay, so yeah, Erica, he swaps with Erica. But if you watch that scene with Xander, Deshaun's right next to him. The whole time Deshaun's like giving like a sus look. Like Deshaun's like, come on, man, I know what you're doing. I know you guys only watched the episode once, but I watched it twice, and the second time I was looking at how people were reacting to Xander doing this, and Deshaun's straight up.
I wondered because it seems really obvious to me. I mean, it doesn't. I didn't know his complete motives. Like what he said later, I thought was really brilliant, but I just assumed he was looking for advantage, and that's what I would assume if I had been there also. Yeah. So he's like, smart.
I wouldn't assume he's looking for an advantage.
That's what I assumed.
You would have assumed that? Oh, okay.
I don't know. That's what I would have assumed. I feel like he is smart. He just doesn't always execute his plans well. But he's thinking. He's always thinking, which is good. Which I like about him.
What did you think, Emily? Did you think it was a smart move?
Yeah, I think once we heard his real reason, it made more sense. I did think he was looking for an advantage. I was thinking like, did he see Jeff put it under there? Because it sounded like the boat was coming.
That's true.
Jeff was talking about it. So I thought, did he see something? I thought it was for an advantage. I wasn't expecting what he told us later. So
Jeff's like, oh, you caught me. Like as he's like in a robe sitting by a fire, like with a pipe in his mouth. Oh, you caught me putting an advantage underneath the bench, I see. So yeah, he swaps with Erica, doesn't get the advantage. Evie kills the puzzle, blows herself up by saying, oh yeah, because she was just so excited that she knew the puzzle, where in reality, she probably should have done it about, 10, 15 seconds slower. Their tribe did not look like they were like about to solve it.
Yeah, but when you're in that moment, like, can you really tell yourself to just slow down? Especially if you are a real hardcore Survivor fan and you knew the puzzle, I would be excited. I might not have been like, I practiced that one at home with beads. I mean, maybe I would have. I don't know. But
yeah,
you can't really fault her.
I think to out yourself on the reward is a hard thing to do. I feel like if this was an individual immunity challenge, like, yes, absolutely. But it's like, it's the reward challenge and like, you're already a target. This is not, it's not even old school Survivor where like winning a reward might help you in the eyes of people for like an episode. Here it's like you've just made yourself a bigger threat. And it's like, Evie, contain your threat level. You know, you need to be out there looking like the worst player in the world right now, like Tony did in Winners at War. Yeah, and she's like not. So, well, of course she's not Tony, but I'm just saying that she's gonna be managing her threat level and she's just making it worse with this move. So, do you all remember what the reward was for this challenge if you win? What did you earn?
Grilled cheese.
What in the world is this?
But not just grilled cheese, but grilled cheese, guys.
Yeah. Jeff's like really trying to hype it up. And once again, they cut to the best reaction they could find. And it wasn't even that great of a reaction because it's bread and cheese grilled. and then they even had like Lay's potato chips. And I'm like, this has gotten really cheap. I'm like, what happened to Applebee's?
Yeah, it used to be like a good promotion time or at least something with more than just grilled cheese. It would be grilled cheese and this and this.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't I'm surprised this felt like time for a sponsor. Maybe a sponsor fell through because it definitely felt like it should be like grilled cheese and Coke, you know, or something like that. It's like, okay, yeah, I get Coke. Like, ooh, I like Coke. But it was just like grilled cheese. And it's like...
And I think that's why he said it like that, because it's almost like he had to hype it up because it was nothing. I'm just like, I was waiting for the... And
yeah, even without a sponsor, they couldn't have been like, and a steak, you know,
or comfort items. I don't know, like
it was pillows or something.
Some pillows, or even, like you said, even
a letter
just,
from home.
Sure.
Yeah, because we're to the stage now for you to get a letter from home.
Or ice cream.
To be fair, though, it is COVID time, so I don't know how letters from home work. Like, did they collect those before the season starts, or if can they get mail in Fiji? I don't know, because Fiji's very strict with COVID.
Weren't comfort items usually rewards before the merge?
Yeah,
because that was the reward, was only this tribe got the comfort items. This time it would have been, I mean, I guess only they could use it, but
anything.
Yeah,
anything.
No, I feel like it should have been more food. I mean, something to go with the grilled cheese, obviously.
Grilled cheese, and I'm like, I miss the days of Applebee's.
Like, womp womp womp.
I miss the days of my favorite sit down restaurant, Applebee's, as Krishma would say. Okay, so. Anyways, half the tribe ends up winning. I forget who exactly wins. Not that it really matters in the long run. I know Danny's one of the ones that wins because Danny cannot help but win every challenge.
Yeah, it's like the same people. It was Danny, Nasir, Deshaun,
Bro, you get
Erica.
Danny, Nasir, and Deshaun on a challenge, it's a game over.
That's why.
That is Nasir. He just cannot lose.
Obviously.
No, Nasir wasn't on the challenge. Remember, Nasir got the papaya.
Not Nasir, that's
which
right.
we were getting to here.
Sorry.
Don't worry.
Well, I was about to say, we know Shan was not on the winning tribe because she immediately cries about not getting the grilled cheese. Or the merge feast, which honestly, that would have been me.
They should just name this episode Grilled Cheese. That'd been a great name for the episode.
But wait, go ahead. In relation to that, I did think it was brilliant that at that point, Shan is crying. Somebody else was crying. Liana was crying. And Xander, he like starts tearing up and he's like, I'm just so sorry for you guys. Yeah. And it's like, again, I feel like it's obvious, but to them in their emotional moment, it wasn't obvious that he was totally just playing them. Fake? Oh, yes, completely. But he is, again, because we know he's trying to put himself on the same side with all the losers and be empathetic with them and have them feel some sort of connection with him. So I thought it was brilliant and it really worked. And so I thought it was funny.
Yeah, in my notes I put Shan and Liana are crying. Tiffany is mad. Where is Heather? Heather's on the losing tribe, of course, because Heather cannot be on the winning tribe or the winning group. I mean, for challenges. Yeah, where's Heather? Like,
well, she's not a huge asset to the challenges.
Apparently,
so
no.
Especially if she doesn't have Danny or Deshaun on her in her team or whatever
you
for
need
the challenge.
Greatest teamwork in the history of Survivor to get Heather in a challenge to be good, apparently.
Exactly.
That's why we showed a slow-mo of her crying, and Jeff said, "This is the greatest teamwork I've ever seen." Like, I feel so bad for Heather. All right, so then Nasir finds papayas, by the way, boss move. Like, I don't think I've seen a season in Fiji, and I know we've had a lot, where they've had papayas. I know they've had breadfruit. Obviously, they have coconuts. Papayas, though, this is new, I feel like. Am I wrong? You guys remember papayas?
No, I think they were surprised when Ricard was surprised when they got back that he even found papayas. So I don't think it's something we've seen a lot.
And we saw him get them down from a tree. It wasn't like production snuck in papayas or something, you know, like and I don't know, because it just seemed out of left field there were papayas all of a sudden. But Nasir got them down, like a boss. So anyways, Mary, go ahead and explain to us the situation. So Ricard and the rest of them who had their grilled cheese come back.
And chips, which were
mentioned.
And
their Lay's chips.
Right. They should have mentioned that.
Yeah, they should have mentioned that. May have sounded better.
Yeah, they came back. They see everyone else eating basically the loser feast of papayas. And Ricard's like, "Oh, papaya," and walks up and grabs a bite. And
it's a small bite.
It is a very small bite. And Shan, of course, immediately is offended. But not only is she offended, she lets him know. She's just automatically like, "What are you doing? You just ate." And he's like, "I had a bite." Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "But we didn't get anything."
Yeah.
And so I get both perspectives. If I had been the one that had missed out, I understand that everyone probably would have eventually been eating the papaya anyways. But we're like 2 minutes after you had a feast that I didn't get and you walk over and take my food. I would have been a little upset. I wouldn't have probably said anything about it.
What do you think about the situation, Emily? Because Mary's on the side of Shan.
I don't know. I think it's not that big of a deal, but I probably would have said something too. If I was that hungry and I hadn't eaten the merge feast and I hadn't had a food reward yet, I probably would have been hangry and probably would have said something.
Oh no, Shan's definitely hangry.
Yeah, and then she definitely cries again over the papaya.
Oh, I know.
So she's obviously in a raw emotional state, which is what Xander talks about. This is why I sat out, is because these people are in raw emotional states, and that's when I find
this wild, because you would think, okay, maybe Shan's extra hangry because she is a thin lady. She's not like, she has no chunk to her. Like she has no, like I have some fat, like, right? Like just a little bit, just a tiny bit of fat. Shan has like no fat, and she is taller.
She is very tall and broad shoulders. And
she needs the calories. And she didn't get the merge feast. I know Ricard didn't get the merge feast, but he did get grilled cheese. I am on the side of, I do think you don't eat it. I would, if anything, ask Nasir, "Hey, where'd you find the papaya?" So he can go find it himself, get it himself, or be like, "Hey, Nasir, can you help me get another one?" or something like that. Because it's like, this papaya has already been claimed in everybody's mind to there. However, I think Shan was in the wrong in terms of how she handled the situation. Not that she was wrong in the technicalities of should Ricard eat the papaya. Because Shan should have been like, "Ricard, maybe it may not be my number one anymore because I have the Black Alliance. But Ricard is still a close ally of mine. I should be nicer to Ricard." Be like, talk to Ricard 101. Be like, "Ricard, dude, like for real, like don't eat the papaya, man. It's not cool." Not instead of like, "What are you doing?" Like, which is such an instinct reaction, gut reaction.
She does that a lot. She doesn't tend to be observant of her surroundings. Just if it's on her mind, she's gonna say it.
Yeah.
And whether it's the time or place.
It's so easy with 2020 perspective watching on television to be like, here's what she should have done, because in the moment she probably wasn't expecting Ricard to come up and eat some papaya.
She's very emotionally driven, her words and her actions. So,
and she's known Ricard all season. She knows Ricard's not an idiot, so it's not like she expected this behavior. So I understand why it happened, but if we're just like judging, was it the right move to make? No, it was not the right move to make. So I hope she apologized to Ricard later. I doubt that, but I hope she did, for her own sake. So basically, that's really all that happens before we go back to immunity, unless you guys have a note about anything prior to immunity.
The only other thing I had written down was that all of a sudden you see on the screen as they're returning back from the challenge, you see Viacana, day whatever. And I'm like, what's Viacana?
Yeah, and so there is a secret scene for this episode. Thank you for bringing that up. It's that the Merge Tribe's name is Viacana, and the secret scene is actually them explaining how they got the name. So the long story made short is that Erica picked the name of the tribe because that word in Fijian means hungry. And I looked it up, and unlike Coach and Tocantins, who misspelled the word that he was trying to say for the tribe's name, Erica is correct. Viacana in Fijian is hungry. So it's not that fascinating of a name, but it does feel like we could have taken a minute out of the show, I think, to cover this.
Well, especially when we have food drama, I think it would have related and it would have been funny, but no, it's not worthy.
Erica needed to be at the top of her game. She's like, we're a real Viacana guys. Nobody would have laughed. That would have been me. I guess what I'm saying is I should have been there to make that bad joke. All right, so we cut over to the immunity challenge. It's the eat or compete. You either can get one portion of rice unless you negotiate with Jeff for a certain number of people sitting out to get a bag of rice that he says will last them 3 days. So first off, Jeff's, unlike in past, I feel like in the past, it's always been like the players came up with the idea to negotiate. Jeff's like, no, this is not part of the game. We are offering negotiations as part of the game. And I'm sure Angelina was at home like, yes, finally. I will sit out for rice, Jeff.
I will say I was surprised it was rice. I thought he was going to uncover
beans.
Some amazing.
Oh.
Haven't they done it in the past where it's like something really good and you can only eat it while the...
Yes. Many times. They've done pizza. They've done nachos, burgers. They've done so many food. They're really trying to make the season seem like it's the hardest.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not. Watch Africa or literally Marquesas, like by the end of the season, they're just like all laying on the ground, dead tired because they've had no food because they foolishly picked the beach that had the nice waterfall instead of the beach with all the fruit, which is such in retrospect, it's like, it's so dumb. Why did you guys pick this beach?
Their weight loss was probably insane in that season.
It was really bad. They were really bad that season. But anyways, so I guess the idea is, all right, so Shan negotiates and she says, we'll offer 5 people. Now, how many people are in the game at this point? Is it 11? Because she kind of just throws that number out there.
I think so. Well, she said, would one person be fine? Obviously, Jeff's like, no, or 2 people. I don't know. She started with super low.
She said 2.
And then she did, well, what about 5? And just said,
she should have
I'll accept 5.
Been like a sarcastic teenager and been like 3.
4.
Yeah, well, Jeff, what's the number because clearly, Jeff, you have a number in mind. What's the number you want, Jeff? This is not negotiation. This is just figuring out what Jeff wants.
I mean, didn't she say?
She jumped to 5.
2? No, she said 2.
Yeah.
And then didn't she say 3?
No, then she jumped to 5.
Okay. Well, and one thing I do want to point out is that she clearly knows how much power she has because her wording when she's negotiating is, I'll give you 5 people. It's not, how about 5 of us?
How about we do 5? Yeah.
Yes, it's, I'll give you 5 people. So it's just interesting how she takes over.
Yeah, it was such a large amount of people, but clearly, obviously, Jeff had a number in mind because if you go to 2 and Jeff says no, it's like, all right, Jeff, well, we're not really negotiating because you haven't counter offered me. So like, what's the number you want, Jeff? But anyways, it definitely felt like an Angelina moment where Angelina's like, Jeff, I'll give you X, Y, Z. It's like everything they have at camp except for like maybe one pot. And Jeff's like, that's a real low ball offer. And he's being joking. And Angelina's like, yeah, I know. I love debating or like, I love negotiating. I learned it in college. And it's like, but here it was like not fun. It was just like you offered too much.
Okay, so you're wrong. She definitely said 2, then 3. Jeff offers 7, then she says 5. I wrote it down.
Does she?
Yes, I watched it twice.
Thank you for making accurate notes.
So she says
put Shan offers
2,
5.
then 3. He says 7, and then she says, "I'll give you 5 people."
Says 7.
Yes, that's what I wrote down.
What is Jeff on?
I don't know.
You want 7 people not to compete out of 11? I know he's negotiating, but like, what a large number. I don't know. I'd be like 4. I'd be like, Jeff, your number's not affecting what I'm offering. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jeff, what's the minimum number? Just get to it already. I don't know. I didn't really care for the negotiation. I do like the idea that certain people had to choose to sit out, and that was on them. But I didn't like the negotiating the number part personally. But we ended up landing on 4 because Xander renegotiated down further. So there was a number, as I said, that Jeff was okay with, and the number was 4. Because if you said you should try 3 and it didn't work, then... Well,
you know what Jeff is okay with?
What?
Jeff is okay with good TV.
Yeah.
That's what Jeff is okay with.
So you got to make it really good TV. Like, Jeff, I would offer every single one of us if I could, but I feel like me by myself, I can stand for all of us when I stand out of this challenge. I count as all 11. Maybe that would have made it.
And I'll give someone my jacket when I get voted out too.
I will give someone my jacket, Jeff. I will give them my jacket too.
And I'll bring it up every chance I get from here on out.
I miss David versus Goliath. I just did a video about Christian, and just rewatching it reminded me how much that season is just perfect. Oh, by the way, it's going to be on Netflix in just a few days for those who are in the United States. I don't know if it's on Canada or anything. Don't ask me about other countries. I don't know. But in the US, David vs. Goliath is going to be on Netflix. If you have not seen it, it is a top tier season from beginning to end, though it gets really good in episode 5. Like episode 5, it really gets that's when it really takes off. So, all right. So 4 people sit out. Xander, Ricard, Shannon, Nasir. Pretty solid group, though. I understood Shan, obviously, since she was the one negotiating. But originally it was just Shan and Nasir, because Nasir's such a good guy. And then
he just wants the good for everyone.
Yeah.
It seems. And I think that's genuine. I don't think that's game. I mean, maybe it is part of his gameplay, but I think that's just how he is anyway.
I really liked when Nasir was like, I can get grilled cheese for my daughter at home. And it's like, yes, Nasir, that's what I thought about the grilled cheese too.
He's cute.
Yes. Oh, cute, huh? Nasir is an amazing follow on Instagram. I know I've said this many weeks in a row, but he really is. So this challenge, all right, so this challenge, Jeff says, happened in a previous season. I believe he was referencing Kagayan, because he just said Spencer. He didn't say what season. But I went back and looked to see what time Spencer competed this and did it for an hour and a half or whatever. It was Kagayan. Now, in this episode, it takes them 4 minutes, right? They only last 4 minutes. And on paper, it sounds like, well, they really suck this season. But actually, Spencer was wearing shoes in Kagayan. And everyone here is barefoot. And I feel like that extra inch or two you get from your soles, however big they are, makes all the difference in your tippy toes.
Well, it just supports your feet, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like wearing shoes, supports your feet, not necessarily gives you height.
No, tennis shoes. Well, but no matter what, tennis shoes give you just, if you're on your tippy toes and you're trying to balance a block on your head against anything helps. And Spencer's wearing shoes, and I wonder if they eventually got rid of the rules on that, because why would no one wear shoes if they can here?
Yeah, they probably are trying to cut down the time of the challenge. I mean, because an hour and a half to 4 minutes.
I don't think you've seen season 10, Emily, but the final immunity challenge lasts 12 hours.
Yeah,
and they had to do tribal council at the immunity challenge because it totally screwed up their whole schedule.
Yeah,
And I think Jeff doesn't want challenges to go over an hour anymore, frankly.
No, I don't think so. And was it David and Goliath that
David
season?
Versus Goliath, where Christian goes 6 hours.
Christian goes 6 hours and talks his ear off, and I can't wait to see that in your video. I hope you talked about that in your video.
No, of course. Obviously. It's like one of Christian's best moments.
Yes.
I remember when that happened, people were demanding that all 6 hours get released as raw footage. And I'm like, I don't know if I want that, but I'm sure somebody would have. But yeah, and Evie wins immunity, though, saving her own hide, because I really do think she was gone this week if she didn't do it. She only lasted for 4 minutes, but I don't blame her. If you can't have tennis shoes like Spencer, then it's not even comparable.
After the reward challenge, the first clip we see is Shan saying, I want Evie out. So I definitely, there's a target on her back for sure.
Well, it didn't help that just the day before Evie blew that, reward out of the water, making everyone else feel inadequate about the puzzle.
Right. She said that. She said, I want Evie out. She's a big threat. Did you see her at the puzzle? Or, something like that. She brought up the puzzle.
So Evie wins immunity. I think we all agree. Okay, so Evie just saved her own butt. Good on Evie. I'm not sure if it's going to save her butt to the end of the game, but the thing is man, every episode you can survive, you have just allowed more opportunity for other things to blow up. So you could be on the bottom and just win a couple immunities, and that could change everything because people haven't been able to target you like they wanted. And now they're turning on each other, and that causes different things to happen. But anyways, so we go back to camp, and there is a split. So first thing we hear is there's an idea to split the votes between Nasir and Tiffany. So now Tiffany is on the block.
I thought Xander was Nasir and the very first thing you hear is Xander and Nasir.
Oh, hold on, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because it gets really messy. No, I'm with you. The very first thing it said though is let's split the votes between Nasir and Tiffany, and I blew off Tiffany because remember I'm locked in as her as the winner, like an idiot apparently, because she had such a balanced edit. Anyways, so split votes between Nasir and Tiffany. And then Deshaun's like, what the heck does Shan saying? I put Shan saying Xander, because that's really how it went. It was like, no, we're doing Xander. No, we're doing Xander. Xander. And she's doing the thing again where I said she like leans forward with her like head and everything, and her hands are like being. She's like,
I noticed it this time.
Like an aggressive tone of, not all of a tone of voice is really aggressive. It's more like a paranoid tone of voice, but her like body language is just like everyone else is like calmly standing, talking, and then Shan's like, I know you guys can't see me, but like you just look at Shan in the episode and you see how everyone else is standing. It's like the body language is like Shan's like, no, we're doing it my way.
She's very intense.
Very intense. Yeah. So she's just steamrolling people, and
did you write down her quote about her church?
That's the very next thing I have. So I do have the exact quote, and it's not. To be fair, I did not write it down on the Survivor Reddit. Somebody wrote it down. So if a word is off, I apologize. But yeah, so I put, is Shan a bad, and this is my notes. I put, is Shan a bad pastor? Because you and I, Mary, we've worked at a church. And Emily, I know you volunteered at one for quite a long time. I mean, we still volunteer, but we used to work at a church. And I'm like, if Shan said this quote and she was my leader, I'd be like, even not in a church, let's just say, even if it's at a regular business, I'd still be like, but I guess say like, what do you expect when you're at like a Walmart or something, you know? But like at a church, you expect more. So I put, is Shan a bad pastor? Her way is the best way. I said, this is bad leadership anywhere, even in the Navy, by the way. Even in the Navy, where you don't think you would have any say, they do, in a sense, have to listen to the sailors, because if they don't, then people don't respect you, and that's like one of the most important things. So yeah, let me pull up the exact quote. But what did you think about this before I pull up the quote, Mary?
Okay. Well, I was just a little shocked. Like, I understand that's how she thinks, but to just say it it's just not really good etiquette, not good leadership at all, obviously. And I'm assuming her whole church is probably watching this.
Yeah.
And if I'm watching my pastor on TV and I hear them say, oh yeah, they say they want this and this and this. And then
let me read the quote and then we can discuss it in better detail. So, because you're going somewhere, but I want to make sure we get this in context. So she's basically talking about how she's trying to get, in this case, Xander out within that context of the episode. But we hear her say, that's what I do as a pastor. I take into consideration all the information. There's a lot of members. They got a lot of thoughts about this potluck, this evangelistic idea, this trip they want to take. I think so far, by the way, us three, we can all agree that is fine. Like, that is what leaders have to do. And then it goes to, and I got to hear it all, and I've got to convince them that my way is the best way. And I think the key there is that it's not I have to hear all what everyone's saying as a leader, and then
make
like
the best decision,
process it, figure out what the best decision is. Oh, maybe this idea is a better idea than what I have, or maybe this idea can be combined with my idea. It's like, no, it's basically like hearing everybody, being a brick wall, and then saying, well, my way's still the best. My way's still the best way. Obviously, it's me.
This whole thing comes up because Deshaun and Danny decide, who was it?
I don't know. Was it Tiffany? It wasn't Nasir, I don't think, was it? Or was it Nasir?
Yeah. Danny proposes Tiffany and Nasir. Deshaun agrees, but Shan refuses to agree, which makes Deshaun really mad. Yeah. And then that's where
Deshaun doesn't feel like he's being heard.
She tries to be nice to him and saying, what do you think? I want to hear you out. And then it cuts to the confessional where she says,
but I think
I need to make them think that my idea is better. And if I was in her church and I saw her say that, I would not want to go there anymore.
You could take her quote though and apply it to the last 7 episodes, and I feel like it gives us so much more. It's like something that you want to assume that like this is how Shan operates watching the previous episodes, but she has never herself said. But like this is such a, like, in my opinion, it's such a, it doesn't, and the thing is, it doesn't matter. I had someone on YouTube try to explain why Shan's right, and it's like, that's not, what's important here is this move of Xander right? That's not the question. Yes, is getting out Xander, of course, would be a great move. Xander's a strong, he's a strong male who can win challenges and has advantage. Like, yes, getting out Xander is a good move. That's not that. It's how you're handling your own alliance. If you have an alliance member, just one, out of alliance of 4, who is already upset with you because of how you're treating them, you have to treat them better, because even if you get them voted out, they don't go to the final 3 with you. They have to vote for somebody to win.
Right.
This is jury management 101. You have to be nice to people on the way out the door.
Yeah.
It's like the whole premise of Survivor. So like, or at least treat them in a way where they still respect you. And this is not a way to get respect or to have somebody like you.
Right. saying that solidified my thoughts, at least from the last episode or two. I figured that's what she was doing.
First part of the season, she was so good.
Yeah, it really solidified that. I figured she was being manipulative in that way.
Well,
but
that's expected in Survivor.
Right, but it's, I don't know, it's different than other tactics we've seen, I think.
Somebody like Tony, who is paranoid and is also doing like a similar thing where Tony's like, but Tony, I've noticed that like Tony is not like, it's my way or the highway when it comes to moves. Tony, if somebody suggests something that they want to do, it's really Tony's just like, okay, is this going to blow up my game? Tony isn't as concerned with, is this the target I want this episode? And he's also paranoid, and he also has like his crazy body movement, but his is not like aggressive in the way of like, I feel like he doesn't care about me at all. It's more like Tony's a wild, crazy madman who's funny.
And that's what I was thinking of Sandra on Wednesday night when we were watching it, because Sandra also can get dramatic and throw, get mad at people.
Too. What the heck?
Right, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, when it comes to voting, as long as it's not my name, that's really
Pearl
all
Islands,
she ever cares
Emily?
about.
Have you seen Pearl Islands with her and Johnny Fairplay?
Yes, it has been a long time, and I don't remember the details.
And Fairplay fight so many times in that season; it's hilarious.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
It's not all about you all the time, and I'm like, that's what I wanted to say to Shan, man. Like, it's not all about you all the time, Shan. All right.
Yeah, her social play is definitely going down the drain, I think. I mean, and she's playing 100% to her emotions, and if it doesn't go her way, she is not happy.
To be all the moves we saw in the we talked about this week by week, is like she was burning people left and right unnecessarily, like Brad, JD, even Jeannie. I feel like I forgot Sarah was the first one voted out at UA. I don't think that would counted, but like JD, Brad, and Jeannie were all like, there was no reason to do what you did to these people. She was just doing it to do it, and it's like, man, this is going to come back to bite you when you reach the jury and you start treating people this way who are actually going to be able to vote for you to win or not.
Right. She got in that habit, and it's probably going to continue.
Yeah. She really needs, and she has like 2 advantages too, right? Am I going crazy? She still has 2 advantages, doesn't she?
She doesn't, the idol and the extra vote still, I think.
My gosh. Yeah. What is she worried? She's so worried. Anyways,
she's just hangry.
Yeah. She needs more papaya. I don't know if the merge feast would have calmed her down. I'm not sure now. Now I did put though as a note, Nasir would be a good pastor. Nasir would be a good leader.
He seems like he genuinely cares about people. I haven't really seen him lead anyone. He follows a lot, but he has a good heart.
I'm just saying, like, if Nasir was my leader, I'd feel very confident following Nasir.
He is just a genuinely nice person that cares about everyone, and it's a great gameplay. But he's definitely not a leader, and he hasn't made any moves. But
but you know what?
I mean, people would vote
to be a good leader. You have to be a good follower.
Yeah, if he made it to the finals, if people voted for him, it was just because he was so nice.
With my winner pick out now, I'm thinking, man, I hope Nasir gets to the end and wins. Why not? If we're going to do this. So, all right. Xander says he has a betrayed R, which is the name of the episode. I thought that was a pretty good one. Okay. And for some, okay. Yeah. And then my next note was about Shan, her head being forward. We already talked about that. I don't know what I write here. This is such a random note. Heather, Nasir, Xander, and Tiffany are on the board. Oh, going into tribal. So basically going into tribal, we had heard that basically Heather's name was thrown out, Nasir, Xander, and Tiffany. And I think you, Mary, were like, Heather's going because she was like the 4th one, but it's like one of those editing tricks where it felt
I thought Heather was going because we heard from her this episode.
Yeah, that is true.
This is the only time we heard from her, and she was on the block. I'm like, okay, it has to be Heather then, because why else would we have randomly hear from her in this episode when we have not heard from her at all?
Yeah, we haven't heard from her since she cried at that one challenge like 4 episodes ago. So we go into tribal, and really there's just a bunch of talking that I knew. By the way, I kind of felt it. I'm like, this talking to Jeff means nothing. Something's going to happen, because it just felt like it was so like generic and vague, and who cares? And sure enough, it ends up being a live tribal, because Jeff's almost like begging them to do a live tribal. He's like, it's time to vote. And then Heather's like, Jeff, I was wondering, can we like talk to each other?
Well, no, she just leaned over and started whispering. And then Jeff was like, oh, wait, Heather, I just said it's time to vote in the slowest possible way to give you guys opportunity. And she's like, oh, so it's okay if I talk? And he's like, sure.
I guess. Yeah. I think Jeff's like wanting them to live tribal.
That might be why he didn't ask any questions that really got people going, is because the live tribals make people want to watch and not skip through it, because I'm definitely
I'm so over live
I will
tribals.
skip through tribals of him just asking generic questions that we all know the answers to.
But sometimes he'll ask questions and he'll like people will start like reacting to each other and getting mad, and that's really where the good stuff is when he can just ask questions and people start like rolling their eyes and
I don't think a live tribal was even necessary because it didn't change anything.
It literally didn't. But it did expose Shannon Deshawn again.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was interesting that Heather was the one that started it, because even then I was like, okay, you really are going home tonight because people are going to get mad at you because we had a plan and then you get up and start talking about it. But the only other note I had about it, I thought it was hilarious because there's this one shot, I don't know if you noticed it, but everyone's getting up and talking and fighting or whatever, and Xander is literally like just sitting in the back watching everyone with almost a smile on his face, because he's just, I don't know why, he's just confident that it's not him or something, and he's just chilling out while everyone else is running around. I thought that was funny, but it was such a random live tribal, and it did seem a little forced by Jeff, honestly.
It definitely felt a little forced by Jeff. Like he almost prompted, he wanted it to happen. But I think the only real important part of this live tribal, number one, is Heather told Tiffany to trust her and then went around telling everyone to vote Nasir. And then people are like, what if we just get rid of Heather? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, you thought it was going to happen. I was like, I hope it's Heather, because I don't want Nasir, Tiffany, or Xander to go. Like, these are people I do not want to go. So I hope it is Heather, and it wasn't Heather, unfortunately. But yeah, I think the important part, though, is we see the Deshawn and Shan relationship basically rear its ugly head again. And in this case, to her face, she says, Deshawn, you're being such a baby. And I know I'm paraphrasing that quote. I'm sure it's not exactly what she said. But she does say the word baby, and she says it about Deshawn, and he is right in front of her when she says it. And it's like, bro, like you were begging Deshawn to flip on you.
They are not going to, this alliance is not going to last.
It cannot last. There's too many episodes left for these two to still be in alliance. Like, one is going to flip on the other. They're going to become, enemies. And it's just not going to be good for either of them if either of them reaches the end. Like, Deshawn beats Shan goes to the jury, and then now Shan's in game mode at the jury instead of, because Shan is like the person who I'm like is the most in game mode. She's just like all the time. And then, but if Shan beats Deshawn and sends him to the jury, Deshawn's going to be like, I'm not voting for Shan. Screw her. Like, they're both doing each other a disservice.
So are we on to winner analysis?
No. I'm just saying that, like, that I feel like that's the important part here to understand, is that it literally doesn't matter who's right. What matters here is how you're treating each other, because these people are going to vote for a winner and you want them to vote for you. That's so important.
Well, I just think Deshawn actually isn't handling it too badly. I think that he is still letting his alliance know that, hey, this is not okay. But he also was like, okay, we'll stick with the plan. I'll do it. And then Shan's the one that like keeps coming over and talking to him and stuff. Yeah,
and Deshawn is really, I feel like Deshawn is the one who has real power here, because he's closer to Danny. Shan is close to Liana. I don't know if Liana would, but I'm saying if there was a split of some sort between this alliance, like, I feel like Deshawn has the most power out of the four of them. Like, I would sooner follow Deshawn than Shan because of how they carry themselves.
Yeah, Liana is definitely like her little minion, but I think Liana is enough of a follower where if she needed to do what was best for her, she would not stick with Shan. So.
Yeah, I think if Liana saw the writing on the wall, but the question is, will she see the writing too late? Because Shan's definitely, I feel like if Shan wins this season, I would be shocked. But yeah, so I just want to mention the vote here, because so last episode when Sydney went home, it was 5-4 to 3, which is a unique vote. But this week it was 6-2 to 2 to 1. It was, remember, the votes were being read. I'm like, this is all over the place. And so here's how the votes played out. We got one person voted for Heather. That was Tiffany. She was really out of the loop. We had two people vote for Xander. Oh, sorry. We had two people vote for Heather. Two people vote for Xander. One person voted for Nasir. That was Xander who voted for Nasir. And then everyone else voted Tiffany. So even after Deshawn and Shan had their spat, they still voted for Tiffany together. But it's like, will this go beyond this episode? Because they both voted for the same target. It wasn't like
I think next episode, Deshawn will be over it and something will happen. I don't think, surely he won't stick with Shan again. I don't know. Unless she tries to get him out.
I think Nasir had the right idea when they went in this merge. They said, let's just say Luvu strong. And it's like, for us as watching at home that's boring, but it really probably was the best option. But well, let's move on to the Rebus puzzle then. Mary, this is your time to shine. What was first off, when was the Rebus puzzle? Because Emily said she missed it before we recorded.
It was at the reward challenge right before, and it was underwater. So they do this like cool transition where they start underwater and they move up and you see the puzzle and then it goes to the challenge. So this week's was peanut butter and chocolate. There is a peanut with a butterfly minus the fly. The Anne signed a chalkboard with a line to the chalk, a hole, and the number 8. I mean, as soon as I got peanut butter and chalk, I knew it was peanut butter and chocolate. That was pretty obvious. But the more interesting thing, I think, is the next week's strategy, which
this is what Jeff said in his video, right?
Right, what Jeff says in his video after you solve the puzzle. He says, basically, if there is another twist where post-merge, you get divided up into groups for 2 or 3 days.
Oh.
And you're separated from your alliance. What would you do? Would you try to form new alliances in your new group? Would you, stick with your old alliance?
I don't like this.
Yeah, the 2 or 3 days is what kind of threw me, because obviously if you have a reward challenge, okay, I'm going to go with these people for a day.
Yeah.
We'll talk strategy, but more than likely I'm going to stick with my alliance. But 2 or 3 days is a long time, especially in a shortened game. Yeah. So that could be interesting.
It feels like some forced, I don't know. If that's really what's going to happen next episode, I'm sure it is. That feels like some forced drama where it's like, man, we already have enough natural drama going on. We don't need the forced drama.
Sure. Well, I'm sure it was planned ahead of time anyways. But there is always drama.
The show doesn't trust its own cast, though. Every episode we've had an event. Thankfully, that's why I said thankfully this episode, the advantage wasn't found, because there was an advantage this episode. It just didn't get found. Thank the Lord, because every episode it's something. It's like having a teenager. Every day it's something with you. It's always disappointing. Sometimes you make me love life, and most of the time though, it's something with you. I say this as somebody who has not had a teenage son or a child.
As a high school teacher, I can confirm that is 100,000% correct.
Every day it's something with you children.
Yes. They usually walk in and will yell my name and say, guess what happened last night? And it's something every
Something
day.
bad?
Bad in my mind, but normal for them. So.
Oh, this doesn't sound good at all. I'm not sure if you're legally allowed to tell me what this is now. Or we're going to move on past that. Okay, good. All right, so let's move on to our winner analysis section. Just lay it on me. Just tell me what you really think about me.
I was so happy. I don't know. I yelled so loud when Tiffany got voted off. I don't think I've ever made that.
Did you say, take that, Wesley?
Yes, it was just because I knew it just couldn't have been her. I really didn't think it was her. Mm-hmm. And so when it was confirmed by Jeff when he snuffed her torch, I was so excited.
He was waiting for a twist. Like Tiffany's like, actually, like pull something out of her pocket and save herself from getting her tough. Yeah, I know. I look, for real though, even the Edgic community, it wasn't just me. Even the community that looks at the Edgics, like Tiffany has the most clear-cut, balanced edit of anyone in the season.
But this is a new Survivor.
I know. They
have new editors.
No, for real though, I really think that's actually part of this. And like, roast me all you want for Pick and Tiffany, but
I mean,
they took advantage of what we know for the past 5-6 seasons,
which was smart.
Yeah.
Which was smart, but just as far as gameplay, I couldn't see how it could work out. Like, you take any of the other people that you're like, oh, their edit was balanced, and I could see how they could get to the end and win. I just couldn't see how from just a strategy standpoint, could do it.
And I will say that is a flaw, and I think that's a flaw in my analysis, was I didn't really strongly consider where is Tiffany in the game. In my opinion, I was like, okay, well, stuff changes every day in Survivor. And they're giving us such a, like, for someone who, by the way, who goes the first member of the jury, what an edit. What a story you got told for somebody who only makes it halfway through the game. But yeah, so I guess let's start with Emily. Since you're new here, who's your winner pick, or do you have a couple winner picks?
I have 2. I think, and honestly, I don't think I have one that I think is over the other. I just don't know. Mm-hmm. But I'm between Xander and Evie.
So why Xander and Evie?
So Xander, because I think we've seen him enough to where it would make sense for him to win. But I think his gameplay is brilliant. Mm-hmm. I do think he is thinking ahead. I think that he is strong in immunity challenges. He definitely could win several in a row. But I think his sticking with the losers is brilliant, especially where the position he's in.
Erica. Yeah.
And then Evie, we see her a lot too. We see Evie a lot, and I think she has a target on her back, but every episode is different. I think that things can change so quickly. So I think that she has a good chance too. I don't know how many votes she would get, but I think people Evie's, like her enough that they would.
She's going to need a lot of things to like change for Evie to get to the end. Like Evie's somebody who, even if her edit was perfect, I would still be like very questionable because like I feel like Tiffany could have flown under the radar to the end, could have. But Evie is not.
But you don't win by flying under the radar.
Well, I'm saying just surviving to get to the end. She could have sat next to two people everyone hates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, but I think people still appreciate good gameplay.
Of course.
So
yeah. Okay, Mary. So who are your?
So my top two.
Okay.
I think I'm just gonna stick with two.
Okay.
Number 2 is Xander. Same reasons that Emily said. I think he's brilliant. I think he's playing a really good game, and I think that he has the ability to do both the social and the physical in this game and to succeed at them. I agree with how Evie has been shown a lot and how she is playing so hard and she knows the game and could slip by, whether by winning immunities or whatever. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I feel like that she's just not as good as Xander and that he's better. But my number 1 now is Deshaun, surprisingly, because we see him so often.
Yes.
He is probably one of the stronger players physically. He's really good seemingly at leading his tribe in strategy. And if he's the one that takes out Shan, that makes sense because we've seen so much of Shan this
What do you
season.
think about Erica taking out Deshaun later, though? Because they clearly set that up in the pre-merge.
That was my third one that I'm like, I'm not sure. If that happens, Erica would be my, obviously.
You think Erica shoots up the list if she knocks out Deshaun?
Yeah, she would shoot up to my number 1 if she
It just feels
Deshaun.
like, I feel like, I'm like, how is Erica going to knock out Deshaun?
But we haven't really heard from her in the last 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why
not since the hourglass.
I wasn't going to mention her because
I guess I'm saying if Deshaun's your number 1, I think my top concern, like Emily said, Evie, is an option, but I'm like, man, Evie is such a large, she's got such a large target on her back. That's her biggest con. Xander, I feel like, is lacking in personal content, meaning like we haven't had any sort of like, I come from here and this is my life story. Here's my sob story. He hasn't even gotten that. And then with Deshaun, I feel like this is more story than anything else that they've set him up to be like, we need to get out. Like there was a whole episode dedicated to getting out Erica and then they failed. And that's by the way, multiple times this season, they've shown Deshaun wanting to do something and then him basically being undercut or failing at it. And so it's like a little concerning because why else would they, first off, if they were going to throw that challenge, right, to get out Erica and then absolutely nothing happens of it. It's like, I feel like it's a lot of blown smoke for no reason.
Or it could just be showing his kind of gameplay. I mean, because he was the one that spearheaded
Danny,
it.
Yeah.
And Danny didn't want to do it.
Danny wanted.
No.
Oh, that's right. Danny was like, all the instincts inside of me say not to do this.
But Deshaun convinced him to do it. So
and
I think that was
no.
the point of doing it, really.
Because the next episode, they're like, should we do it? And
now,
Nasir's no.
Now, if I could just pick who I wanted to win, I think it would be a tie between Nasir and Xander. But
yes,
who I think is going to win, I think right now it's Deshaun.
Yeah, this is definitely coming down to who do I think is going to win, not who do I want. Who do I want to win is Nasir. That is Nasir, yes. And Nasir's at Final Tribal, and he said that is Nasir, and everybody just applauded. I'd be like, beautiful tribal council. Just vote Nasir. That's all we needed. But yeah, I want Nasir to win. So, all right, let's get to my list. So obviously I had to reevaluate everything about my life and every choice I've made up to this point. And
every choice.
Yeah. So if you guys recall, starting episode, I believe it was 2 or 3. I want to say it was 2. I was like, man, Tiffany is getting such a strong edit for someone who seems to not be important or has no say in the game. I'm like, she was being all paranoid. Remember, she had to have the thing explained to her 5 times. And I'm like, but we constantly hear from her. So it was a process of going from that to eventually where I got Landon Hunter as a winner. I didn't out of left field say, Tiffany's the winner. I did like, it felt like for weeks they were like, so I want to point that out, like, because some people are like, oh, out of left field you said Tiffany. It's like, no, for weeks I was talking about how Tiffany, I felt like she's going to the end, but she's going to get 0 votes. So it's weird to me that they did all that work to set her up to go first in the jury.
Just to trick you.
Yeah, just to trick us. Yeah. So now I like had to go back and rethink about this. I'm like, okay, am I going to change how I evaluate who's going to win? Like, no, I don't think I should. I think I should reevaluate who's left and do any of them fit what we have seen in the past, like 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons for winners. And I'm like, okay, so like I feel like it's almost like Edge of Extinction again, except that season, there was literally a reason why the winner wasn't being set up. It's because they were on the edge of extinction. Where I was like, remember when you and I were married watching? I'm like, is it supposed to be Rick? I want to be Rick Devens, but man, there's so much, and I feel like it's in the way of Rick Devens winning this thing. But he was right on the edge of winning at the end of the game. So anyways, so really where I'm getting at with this is I had to rethink everything about my life and about who was available. And I put Deshaun on the list, but he's not on my winner list. I put Deshaun. Well, I want to be clear. Like,
this is a winner analysis.
No, I get that.
What other list do we have here?
I know. Thank you for roasting me. I'm just saying I put Deshaun in here because I was thinking about him. And while we've been talking through the podcast, actually still, if Deshaun gets to the end, I don't think he's winning. Let's put it that way. I think Deshaun's kind of in the Tiffany position in my mind, where it feels like he's being set up for going to the end and getting like no votes. Because I feel like if he turns on his alliance, that might be, if Shan has a say, like let's say he beats Shan and Shan goes to jury, or if Shan beats him and he goes to jury, I feel like either way, I feel like if either of them gets to the end, they're not getting votes. But I feel more confident in Deshaun going further than Shan, just based on their personalities, and I feel like how people and probably don't like the paranoia of Shan. But I could be wrong. Shan seems to get her way all the time. So anyways, he's not, I'm just saying, I feel like he might be a go to the end, get 0 votes kind of guy, but could be wrong. But all right, so my winners are, the number 2 is Liana. Now, Liana, I know you're shaking your head. I'm really having to think about it. I'm like, there's no other females. I feel like in the game, I'm like, I feel any slight confidence. People joke about Heather winning. I'm like, if Heather wins this game, this is like a Natalie White edit. This is insane. But Liana, I feel like we do hear from her every episode. You know, even after she got burned by using that idol on Xander, like, we don't hear, well, now I'm on a, get Xander out of this game. How dare he burn me? She actually took it pretty well in stride. And I think that is a important thing for someone who's going to get to the end and win. So I'm not saying Liana is the winner. I'm saying that I'm now looking at Liana in a serious manner, whereas before I was not looking at Liana at all as a winner because I was pretty locked in. So number 1, you guys are there. By the way, for those who are there, they're laughing at me. All right. My number 1, though, I think is back to somebody who I have mentioned on and off throughout many weeks, is Ricard. I get a sense that, first off, even though I think Ricard's kind of catty, no one in the game has ever said, I don't like Ricard, or Ricard bugs me. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sure somebody has. Go ahead.
What about his gameplay can he say that he's done? Like, when they ask, how did you outplay, outwit, outlast? I mean, of course, we still have episodes to go. Yeah. Okay.
He's won immunity.
Other people have won immunity.
He is... The things that are going against Ricard here is he's not part of the Black Alliance, which seems to be the only alliance we're really focusing on as having power, but they're about to turn on each other. So I feel like Ricard is like playing that, like, let these big targets eliminate each other kind of game, and then he'll be the big target at the end. Whereas, like, we got these people who are like playing hard who are going to knock each other out, which we've seen many times. Tommy Sheehan won Island of the Idols, and he didn't play a game at any point where you thought, oh, he's dominating this. It's not about dominating the game. It's just about getting the end, not POing your jury so they vote for you. That's all it's about. It's all the game's ever been about. And Ricard's not annoying anyone. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not in the Yas minority. He's in the general majority. You know, I feel like he was part of UA. Nobody really considers, I don't know, the UA tribe a threat. It's just him and Shan. So I don't know. I feel like Ricard is never. I mean, Ricard could go in the next episode. I feel like an idiot. I'm just saying that, like, there's no one left in the game I feel confident in. Like, Xander, I do not feel confident. He's had no personal content, and I feel like we literally saw Deshaun rolling his eyes and, like, making faces when Xander's making his move with Erica.
Until it comes up later. I mean, they could wait on Xander's sob story or
Watch them do it in the finale. Those jerks. But to be fair, they've done sob stories for, and it's like the sob story, I almost don't know what the value of it is because it's new. And they did it to people like Sarah who got voted out, JD who got voted out.
You can't base what you think the winner's edit is going to look like because you really don't know now. I really think they're trying to make it completely different because of people like you who analyze this so much.
That's fine. And I want to be clear. I am all for them doing something new and different. This makes it a different game because if it really was Tiffany, we'd just every week the winner analysis just be being like, yep, it's Tiffany. Yep, it's Tiffany. Which in Winners of War, it was like that with Tony. We were like, yep, it's Tony. Like it's Tony, guys. Like it's Tony. It's Tony. Every week we're just like, it's Tony. It's obviously Tony. But this time I'm glad it's something new. So I just hope it's not Heather because Heather has like had nothing. And if Heather ends up winning the season, Emily's over giving me the weirdest looks right now.
Why would you intentionally shut her off and then have her win?
They did it to Natalie in Samoa. It's not like it's unheard of.
You are thinking of past seasons. I really think you've got to get that out of your mind.
Oh, I need to drop that 4.
I know for the players, it's still the same, but if they really are trying to make a new season, make things different, they are making different editing choices. They're making different choices with how Jeff interacts with the audience. Like, I mean,
Ricard's a game changer. He made him stop saying guys.
Yeah.
Is that not winner edit?
Maybe. I'm not saying you're wrong about that. I'm saying I don't see Ricard connecting with anyone in the tribe at all. Just because no one's saying, I don't like Ricard, no one's also saying, I really like Ricard.
Yeah.
So.
To be fair, yeah. So look, at this point, my winner analysis was Tiffany. Okay, that was it. Tiffany had the perfect edit, and they knew it. That's why they did it the way they did it. So at this point, I'm number one is Ricard. But you know what? I think it's why people listen to this section of the podcast because if we don't know for sure, and I think it makes more fun. We're just like everyone else listening. We're just wildly speculating based on a television show that's highly edited that doesn't give me all the information. I don't know. I'm just going based on what the story's telling me. And the story's telling me right now that Ricard's not a target. Even after he won immunity, nobody said, oh, Ricard won immunity. What a big threat. Like Evie won 2 challenges and she's already been a massive threat, you know. Ricard doesn't have the target on his back. So as of now, Ricard's my number 1. I have mentioned him throughout the season as somebody who I feel like has a strong, you know, like a decent enough. I feel like he's very middle of the road, but like it's never really like it's very middle of the road in like a neutral sense. And maybe that's the
he's
new way of
very
presenting
neutral.
winner.
That's what I was thinking. He's very neutral.
Tommy in Island of the Idols to me felt very neutral all season. Like he had the I'm a teacher thing, and that was about it. Like Tommy to me was like not exciting, and he was very neutral. So that could be Ricard's. That's all I'm saying. And Ricard did get. We have personal backstory on Ricard. We hear his strategy. You know, we see his personality. Those are the 3 things we look for. Is are we getting personal content? Do we hear strategy? And do we know his personality? And I feel like yes to all 3 of those. That's where I'm looking for. So, all right, everyone in the comments roast me for picking Tiffany. Her getting voted first in the merge. It's fine. I'll live. I didn't cry all night thinking about it that night on Wednesday. I was blown away though when he revealed the votes. I was like, what the heck is going on right now? I was like, Tiffany. I'm like, is she gonna pull out an idol? Like, what's happening?
I could not see her winning.
That's fine.
At the end of the, I always think to them sitting there explaining why they should win. And I'm like, I can't think of anything Tiffany could say other than you had to explain things over and over to me. And eventually I did get them. And like, she did not, unless she was going to do something later, she just never really did anything. She was okay in challenges. I mean, she did do a few things in challenges, but you know.
To those listening at home, Emily texted me like during the season. She's like, she is such a teacher. Remember that, Emily?
Yes, that was me. I could tell she was a middle school teacher from, I think, episode 1 or 2.
Emily knew specifically middle school, though.
She just has that personality. Yeah. I mean, and hey, more power to you.
So crazy. All right, so let's move on to our next section, the Purple Heather edit. Mary and Emily, both of you had some interesting observances because Heather all season has had like 2 confessionals in like 7 episodes. And then this episode, she gets like, I think she gets 2. But you guys observed interesting things that despite that, they still purpled Heather. So what did you guys see?
Well, the first thing I noticed was in the challenge, in the reward challenge, excuse me, they specifically give you the audio for just saying, okay, Heather, jump. And then also people chanting, go Heather, swim, 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 or whatever. but they don't show any video of Heather swimming or Heather jumping.
Footage not found.
Instead it's footage of Xander like looking around the bench trying to find the advantage that's not there. And it's just like, and you don't get to hear everyone chanting, oh, go Nasir or go whatever. Like you might hear one, but I heard like 3 people say, go Heather, maybe because she needs the extra chanting or support. I don't know.
I don't know. The greatest chanting ever to get Heather to.
But it was so awkward. It's like normally when you hear that blatant, like 3 or 4 people chanting someone's name, you hear them saying it, and then you hear you see them saying it, and then you see the people in the water or whoever they're chanting for. Yeah. But this time you hear the audio, go Heather, and nope, we see Xander looking around. And so I thought that was interesting.
Craziness. What about you, Emily? Did you catch anything?
Yeah, the only thing that I caught, I did not catch that, but I did catch Heather and Deshaun at the well. And Deshaun, I don't even remember what they were talking about, but Deshaun says something and Heather takes a breath like she's going to respond, and then it immediately cuts to the next scene.
Crazy.
And that's the first thing I thought was, once again, she's being purpled. I don't think we had seen anything from her up to this point in the episode.
Yeah,
so
was that all these things that the reward obviously was prior to her all of a sudden becoming a part of the episode? Was your thing, Emily, prior to her becoming part of the episode?
Because I wrote down that she's purpled again in this episode. Yeah, and then we started hearing from her. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. Like imagine Heather.
That choice doesn't make sense to me because they could have cut it like a millisecond earlier so you don't see her take the inhale or open her mouth or whatever. And
it's like it's on purpose.
Okay, but yeah, it's like it's on purpose. Like, wait, nope, we're not going to hear from Heather.
It's so mean. I don't understand. What did Heather do? Did she like burn down camp or something? And they're like, we're mad you burnt everything.
Well, maybe her response was not. Maybe
Great.
It was just like, yeah, or something like, okay, that is not worth keeping in. Or we talked about the negotiation too long at the challenge that we couldn't keep that part in.
But I think what Mary's saying is that they purposely still like showed her starting to respond, then they cut her off, and it's like that's the part that's confusing.
It looks like. Because you're visually drawn to her responding and then it's a cutoff. Like we both noticed it. Versus with editing, you know they could have cut it off earlier. Yeah. Even if Deshaun was still talking, you can let him finish.
Yeah, this isn't a Big Brother live feed. They're editing the show.
Right. Yeah. So it just was confusing to me. And then to hear her actually have confessionals later, and actually hear her at the reward challenge talking, and we're like, what? Heather has a voice.
Heather winner edit confirmed.
Right. Like. It was just like, oh, okay. So she's either going home or she's going to be part of this major event that's happening soon. And which I guess she was the one that started Live Tribal. So sure, I guess that's important, but not really because she didn't go home. And the person who was going to go home went home anyways. We could have not even known that she started the Live Tribal, skipped over Live Tribal, and not known anything had happened.
That's true.
So why bring her up
I think
now,
the Live Tribal ended up being important, as mentioned earlier, because of Shannon Deshaun.
Oh, so that's true. Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't just skip over it, because I feel like that is going to come up as an important. If it's not already important, it's going to be more important. So, okay, well, if Heather gets more confessionals next week, we might drop this whole section about the Purple Heather edit but through 8 episodes, she's had 4 confessionals, so she's not even averaging 1 an episode. Like, terribleness. Like, Shan's probably had like 50. I don't know. I don't have a count in front of me, but Shan's had so many. I'm surprised that Heather's only gotten 4. I feel so bad. Imagine being on the show and then going home and watching it and being like, was I even on the show? Like, that's terrible.
I had a friend that was on or she's not a friend. I guess she's
not a friend.
Well,
I mean, have a person I know.
Like, I probably wish we could have been friends, but she was way cooler than me. But anyway, we went to high school together, and she was on the Bachelor. And it was like she wasn't on it.
She was on.
Yeah, she was on it, but it's like she wasn't on it. She didn't hardly get any screen
time. She went to the high school you and I went to?
Yeah, I graduated with her.
What?
Yeah, we the only class I really remember. I mean, we had like chorus together.
She didn't win the Bachelor
in English.
Then.
No, it was very obvious because she hardly got any screen time.
Can you say what season of the Bachelor is for those who are curious?
I can't remember.
Can you just say her name?
Yeah, her name is Sarah Coffin.
All right.
And it was the season where there was 2 girls from Knoxville, both from Knoxville, and one of the other Knoxville girl, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know how I hardly watched the show because once she was off,
it's not a Bachelor podcast. I just want because I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, oh, what season? Who is it?
But I just felt bad because I was watching the show to watch her, and then she was purpled on that show.
She was purpled on the Bachelor. You're like, she's not getting picked. All right, so now let's move on to our TV rating section. Just like last week, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but long story short is from episode 1 through episode 6, every week the rating or the viewership just kept dropping and dropping. And as I said previously, the number of viewers to me is not as important as the general trend of viewership. So the first 6 episodes, it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. Last week, it jumped up. It finally bottomed out at 5,300,000 people. Last week, it jumped to 5,470,000, so a decent jump. This week, it jumped again to 5,550,000.
I'm predicting next week goes down.
You think it goes back down?
Just because of this episode.
Really? Okay. Well, I was encouraged that since the quote unquote merge, or aka Erica's Hourglass episode, the viewership has gone up, and I'm hoping that the rest of the season it goes back up, because I don't want the show to tank, but the first 6 episodes was like a very concerning trend. Like it kept dropping in a way that you have not seen in past seasons. So yeah. And last week I was so dumb. I left the logo over still on the screen, so you couldn't read what last week's rating was. And somebody's like, "Hey bozo," they didn't say "Hey bozo," but they should have. "Hey bozo, you left the logo over. I can't even read it. What you put on the screen." I'm like, I feel so dumb. All right. So that's all I got. You guys want to talk about the TV ratings at all before I pull up listener questions?
No, we're good.
Okay. Yeah. And they don't really care. I think it matters though, because I think the general fandom is really what you're getting when you see the numbers. Like this is really what most people who are not going to talk about Survivor are really thinking when you see viewers going down every week. That's my opinion, at least. So, but now they're going back up, so people are getting back into it, and that's great. Okay, so the questions we have this week are, the very first question is, well, someone has 2 questions. Survivor X asks, why did Heather cause a scene at Tribal? Do either of you have an opinion on this? On why she did that?
Well, she thought she was going home because it specifically showed her getting mad that Shan had brought her name up as a just to let Xander know that's who they were. But of course, we're not really voting for you, Heather.
Yeah.
And so that made her really mad.
Heather was like, "Yeah, why did you even suggest me, though?"
Right. So I think she really just wanted to make sure that she was safe. Is all.
Okay. And the other question is, will Shan's control freak personality blow her game up? What do you think, Emily?
100%. I can't imagine she will win just because of her social game and playing based on her emotions. I think if she wins, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like when Shan goes, there's no real villain for the season. Like I don't feel like anybody else is really set up as a villain. So right now we're like, ugh, Shan. But in the long run, she needs to make it a few more episodes to keep the season full of drama, I guess, because there will be drama.
But
it's
as
just
you said
Shan
earlier,
is the most drama.
You don't have faith in your cast?
She's the cast.
I know, but I mean, like, I feel like someone's going to step up and take her shoes.
My point is, I don't think you need advantages to spice it up. We have people interacting hungry, and that's really sometimes all you need. So Jack asks, is Xander a lock to win the game if he gets to the end? Just yes or no, Mary?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
For me, it's no. I don't think so. Not that I don't think Xander's playing an amazing game, by the way. I do think strategically he's playing amazing. I just don't think he has the bonds to get the votes. That's what I think. All right. Walla Walla asks, what are the chances that Tiffany returns and wins this season? Is it possible there's a shock Edge of Extinction twist? I mean, at this point, anything's possible, right? With God and now with Jeff.
I agreed with that. I was thinking anything's possible. They could, I mean, the merge situation with the what is that called?
With the hourglass thing?
The hourglass, thank you. With the hourglass, we were not expecting that at all.
We could reverse time and bring back somebody who was voted out of the game.
We could, and she might win it all.
They did make a point of her saying, I'm so excited to be the first member of the jury. I don't know.
Well, and
I hope not, but
for those who don't know what Ponderosa is where the jury goes once they're voted out. They did post a video of her at Ponderosa, which you do not do when there's an Edge of Extinction twist or something like that. So I don't think there's any shock EOE twist, but if it happens, would I be shocked? Maybe for like a minute, but not like, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did something ridiculous like this.
We are dropping the 4 and keeping the 1. So you never know what can happen.
Oh, yeah. I feel like in that case, we should have done a Borneo season then. Back to basics if we're dropping the 4. But whatever. All right. Next question is from Bez Jones, who asks, who do you think was more in the wrong during their fight? If you had to pick between Deshaun and Chantel, who is more in the wrong?
During the fight at Tribal?
No, I would say just in their fight, as a whole. Let's just say at camp and at Tribal, who's more in the wrong between Deshaun and Chantel? Because they're both not in the right.
I think Shan is still more in the wrong than Deshaun.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. We kind of did discuss that during the breakdown. Connor asked, do you think Shan is rightfully upset about the papaya, or do you think she's overreacting? We did talk about this earlier, so now that I realize we talked about it, we're going to move on. Next question is from IB Vlogs. Why is Heather getting purpled so hard this season? Why? Thank you. That's the question. We all are asking this. Why? What did she do? Mary, what is your wild, crazy theory? What did Heather do?
I have no idea.
And no one has any theories?
I mean, I want to come up with some cool theory, like she badmouthed Jeff in some interview or something.
She's like, the hourglass twist is stupid, Jeff. And Jeff took it personally. What a dumb twist, Jeff. No. Someone asked, Enter Name asked, did this ruin Heather's game in the long run? I guess the live tribal, because she didn't get Nasir out like she wanted. Now, I do think we didn't talk about this during the breakdown, but we should talk about it. Ricard told Xander to play his idol, and Heather did this whole thing with Nasir. Was Heather just a plant to make Nasir play his idol? Like, they're like, Heather, when you get to tribal, you start a live tribal, because we're going to try to flush Nasir and Xander's idols out. Because Ricard told Xander to play his idol. I
mean, it could be. Ricard was being so obvious about it, though, and I think somebody smarter would have had to tell Heather to do that, and I feel like they just would have shown it because that would have been interesting. At least later do one of their flashbacks or something, but I don't know.
They do flashbacks. What do you think, Emily?
Was the question, did it ruin her gameplay?
Yeah, they're saying, did this live tribal not going Heather's way ruin her game, I think.
Well, I don't think Heather has had much of a game up until this point, so I don't know that it helped or ruined it, but...
Can't ruin something that's not there.
But exactly, I really don't... I think it still went exactly how it would have if that had never happened, so I don't think it matters.
Our last question is from Silent Storm 45. What would you do for some chocolate and peanut butter? And my question is, I would get naked for Jeff. Just like in the Amazon.
That's your question?
No, that's my answer. Sorry. My answer is I'd get naked for some chocolate and peanut butter. What do you get? What would you guys do?
I don't like peanut butter or chocolate enough to do anything crazy, I don't think. So
you'd be like, I'm good.
Yeah, I would.
I feel like if you're hungry, you change your mind.
I would rather have grilled cheese.
Trade it for grilled cheese. What would you do, Mary? You're on Survivor. Chocolate peanut butter is offered.
I'd watch you get naked so I could have...
You watch Jeff get naked?
I'd watch you get naked.
You watch me get naked for chocolate peanut butter?
Chocolate.
Wow. I feel... You know what? It's funny because they did that in the Amazon. Jenna and Heidi got naked for chocolate. And then remember Rafe in Guatemala said, Jeff, I'll get naked for... Or no, was it Palau?
I don't remember.
It was somebody in Palau, I think, said, Jeff, I'll get naked for chocolate and peanut butter. And Jeff's like, nobody wants to see that.
Mm-hmm.
That was Ian in Palau. He said, I'll get naked for chocolate peanut butter. Jeff's like, no, I don't want to see that. So all depends on whether Jeff wants to see you naked or not, I guess. All right. Well, that's it for this week. Man, we have only like 4 episodes left. They announced the finale is December 15th. So there's only like 4 or 5 episodes left. So, all right. Well, we'll see you all next time. Bye.